Hey everyone, I'm the Canadian Lad, and Marvel just released the official trailer of Fantastic Four First Steps, and we finally get to see Reed stretching, just like you'll see me stretching my theories in this video. But no, I've watched the trailer at 0.25x speed and found some incredible hidden details and Easter eggs. Director Matt Shakman, who has previously directed WandaVision, is a fan of hidden details and Easter eggs himself, so we can assume he's gonna plant a lot of that in the movie throughout. One thing I have to appreciate from the trailer is that the color grading of the film looks fantastic. A lot of people have been complaining about recent Marvel films that lack color, but this one doesn't. It truly looks something from the 1960s and looks like an actual film. Now, Kevin Feige confirmed that the movie will take place in an alternate universe, but we know that Marvel's first family will also appear in Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, so we shouldn't be surprised if they find their way into the main MCU timeline by the end of this movie. Now, Pedro Pascal is really having the time of his life, eh? Gladiator 2, The Last of Us, the MCU, and of course, who can forget his character from Game of Thrones? Speaking of which, lads, please spare me just 75 seconds to thank today's sponsor, Game of Thrones Kingsroad. Game of Thrones Kingsroad is an action-adventure RPG set during Season 4 of the Game of Thrones TV series with an original storyline. Explore iconic places like King's Landing, Castle Black, and The Wall, while delving into the political intrigue of Westeros. Play as the heir to House Tyrell and navigate power struggles, alliances, and betrayals, interacting with characters like Jon Snow and Cersei Lannister. Face challenges like the White Walker's rise and legendary creatures like ice spiders or stormhorn unicorns. The game offers a dynamic manual ARPG combat system with skill-based battles and class-based playstyles. Make teams in multiplayer to battle monsters in the Altar of Memories mode. Customize your character's gear and grow your abilities, making every decision impact your journey. This cross-platform game allows seamless progression across devices. It's a direct continuation of the PC game on mobile, but maintaining the core characteristics of the original. Game of Thrones Kingsroad makes me feel I'm still living inside the Game of Thrones world. Although the show is over, but the world inside this game is so realistic, along with such great storyline, it just feels like Game of Thrones never ended. So what are you waiting for? Experience this free-to-play game on mobile or PC with pre-registration and early access now available. So check out the link in my description. Now, the trailer opens with what looks like a 1960s talk show. The color grading, lighting, and even the set design all scream vintage television. Instead of the teleprompter, the host is reading off actual scroll paper. Now, this Tad Gilbert show is inspired from the real-life Ed Sullivan show, immediately telling us that the story takes place in an alternate universe. From the aesthetic alone, this isn't the MCU's sacred timeline. It's somewhere else, maybe a branch timeline or an entirely different universe. Remember what they did in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse? That's exactly what's happening in this movie as well. Another reason they went with this particular set design is because the Beatles famously debuted on the Ed Sullivan show, changing the face of music forever. And now we've got Marvel's first family debuting in this alternate universe on a similar show, almost as if they're the Beatles of superheroes in this world. Now, judging by the host's dialogues here, it seems like the Fantastic Four are a big deal in this universe and everyone loves them.
Our city, our planet, owe a debt to these intrepid souls. And while we can never repay them, we can certainly celebrate them.
Just like director Matt Shakman said, they're not doing an origin story. We've been there, done that. So instead, we get their backstory through footage playing on the show itself. It gives us their origin without slowing down the plot. And if you look closely, Joseph Quinn, who plays Johnny Storm, looks noticeably younger in this footage, implying this mission happened a while ago, meaning the Fantastic Four have already been heroes for some time now in this universe. And this is more of a reintroduction than a beginning. In fact, a later shot gives us a more specific timeline. Notice just outside the Ted Gilbert show, a marquee reads celebrating 4 years of the Fantastic Four. So this is why they were invited to this show, to celebrate not 5 years, but their 4th year anniversary. And it seems like New York will get attacked during the show, and they will have to cut it short. Now notice the suits all say ANSA instead of NASA, which stands for the American National Space Agency. Another indication that this universe operates on a slightly different historical lines. We then cut to Yancey Street, where Ben Grimm grew up in the comics. But notice the kids aren't mocking him. They're cheering for him. They like the Thing and are asking him to lift a car to show his powers. However, in the comics, it was a bit different. Yancey Street is where Ben Grimm would always get bullied because of his atrocious looks. In fact, Ben Grimm was one of the primary reasons Reed Richards revealed their identities to the public, because unlike the other three, Ben Grimm cannot hide his secret identity. So Reed figured if one of them had to be seen as a monster, then they'd all stand together in the spotlight. In the comics, Reed has always had this obsession with winning over the public. He turned them into into celebrities, hoping that fame and fortune would replace the normal lives they gave up. And that's exactly what's happening here in this universe. Now notice when Ben Grimm lifts up the car, in the background we can see Stan Lee's service center, a nod to Stan Lee, the co-creator of the Fantastic Four. And I love how as Ben lifts up the car, the bystanders aren't shocked or scared. They're happy to see it too. Also, this shot immediately made me think of the famous Superman panel from Action Comics, which is funny because both of these movies are coming out in the same month, and we might end up seeing a similar shot in Superman as well. Also, there's a television up for sale for just $50. Oh man. We then see kids running around on the street, all happy and excited to see the interview of the Fantastic Four. One of them even rigged up a little DIY version of the Fantastic car, indicating how much the kids look up to the Fantastic Four. Now on these TV screens, we see footage from their mission, the interview Reed and Sue did, the same one from the teaser, a quick shot of Johnny in the slick red coat, and then Harvey. Notice the TVs are being sold at a store called Kaplan's, which is a reference to Jeff Kaplan, who's one of the writers of this film. We see a montage of New Yorkers thanking the Fantastic Four for their service, and there we see the shot of the firefighters. Notice to the left of the firefighters, there's a sign that reads Silvermanes. Now if that name rings a bell, it's because Silvermane is a mob boss often clashing with Spider-Man. Well, I don't think Silvermane will be in the film, but I think it's a fun Easter egg hinting at the broader Marvel universe. Now as the host introduces the team, we finally get that hero shot. Reed, Sue, Johnny, and Ben all standing together in their classic comic-accurate suits. And man, do they look great. One more thing I noticed throughout the trailer is that Reed isn't smiling much. The only time we see him smiling was before they got their powers. So things have been grim lately for Reed Richards, but here's the thing. After receiving his powers, he's probably cursed with knowledge, and it's written all over his face. And notice how all of them have blue and white in their suits, but Reed's suit is mostly blue, with only white gloves. This slight variation highlights his role as the team's leader. A small but a meaningful touch. And if you see this wrist device on their hands, keep it in mind, I'll talk about it in a minute. The Marvel Studios logo rolls in, and right after that, we're inside the iconic Baxter building. This is Reed and Sue's home, top floor penthouse, and of course, in the comics, it's also the Fantastic Four's main headquarters. Now, Marvel revealed that the interior of this building is divided into 3 sections, organized by the primary colors. The red room is for research, the yellow room is for thinking, and the blue room is for monitoring. Now in the kitchen, we see Ben cooking with Harvey, and notice the time on the clock is almost 6:30. That probably means they're getting dinner ready. And if you know this family, you know Sunday dinner at 7 is non-negotiable.
We make a point to do family dinner every week. Sunday at 7, on the dot, no matter what. We're all here.
We see Johnny Storm grabbing a box of Lucky Charms, and notice the cereal box has an illustration of the original Human Torch designed from the comics. And what can I say about Joseph Quinn? There's something about his body language, the smirk, the confidence, it totally gives off a young Robert Downey Jr. energy.
Where are you going?
You're late.
What do you mean?
What do you mean, what do I mean? You're late for dinner.
Yes, we are.
You late?
I just said that.
Are you pregnant?
What?
So Marvel officially reveals that Sue Storm is pregnant, something I've been actively theorizing ever since we got the first official teaser. In the comics, Sue and Reed have a son, Franklin Richards, and Franklin is no ordinary kid. He's an Omega-level mutant who can bend reality like it's Play-Doh. He's so strong that even Galactus, the Planet Eater, fears him, which might explain why Galactus is walking on the streets of New York instead of turning it into space dust, but I'll talk about it when I get there. Let me now quickly tell you who Harvey is, as it's kind of important for you to know. Harvey is one of the rare characters who started in a TV show and became so popular that they made their way into the comics. He debuted in the new Fantastic Four animated series back in 1978. Fans loved him so much, they brought him into the comics a year later in Fantastic Four number 209. His name, Humanoid Experimental Robot B-Type Integrated Electronics. Yeah, it's a bit mouthful, but long story short, Reed and an alien named Master Zar built Harvey to help track Galactus. So yeah, this robot's got some serious credentials. And this brings us to those wrist devices everyone's wearing at all times. You'll notice they're always on, during dinner, and even in the quiet moment when Sue tells Reed she's pregnant. So it goes without saying, these devices aren't just for show. I think they serve a real purpose. But what is it? My theory is they're connected to Harvey. Could be how the team communicates communicates with him, or maybe they're like early warning systems, something Reed invented to detect cosmic threats or keep tabs on Galactus. The sky erupts in raining fire, and the first thing Ben does, he looks down at the device. Now, the sky erupting in raining fire could actually be telling us which comic issue Marvel is adapting for this film, and give us more details about the overall plot. In Fantastic Four number 48, yes, the beginning of the legendary Galactus trilogy. In that issue, the Silver Surfer is flying across the cosmos, searching for the next planet for Galactus to devour. He hasn't locked onto Earth yet, but the Watcher, who has been quietly hanging out on the moon, realizes what's about to happen. If the Surfer sees Earth, that's it, game over. So he tries to hide the planet. He uses something called a matter mobilizer to cast this massive illusion. Think of it like a giant cosmic cloaking device. He creates a storm of light, space debris, and energy distortions. Basically anything to make Earth look like just another empty pocket of space. It's a wild move, and honestly, it almost works. But the Silver Surfer is just too powerful. His cosmic awareness kicks in, and he senses something's not quite right. And boom, he breaks the illusion and locks onto Earth. Once that happens, he signals Galactus, and everything snowballs from there. Now, jumping back to the trailer, the fire in the sky could be the Watcher's illusion, a last-ditch effort to protect Earth from being detected. And it tracks, because later in the trailer, we do see the Silver Surfer surfing straight through a sky filled with fire. So perhaps this is her breaking through the illusion here, just like in the comics. Now, pay attention to the outfits of the Fantastic Four. They're wearing the exact same outfits when they're looking up at the firestorm and when they meet Silver Surfer. So that gives us a rough idea of the timeline. So chronologically, it could go like this. They're out on the balcony, enjoying a quiet evening, just taking a breather from everything. Then boom, fire ignites in the sky, and they notice it right away. They jump in the Fantastic car and head straight for Times Square. And that's where they meet Silver Surfer for the first time, where she warns them that Galactus is coming. Now, if Marvel decides to leave the Watcher out of the movie, I've got a second theory. What if this illusion isn't from the Watcher at all? What if it's Reed's invention? We've seen that blackboard filled with cosmic equations, haven't we? So Reed could be trying to create his own defense system, something to cloak Earth from outside threats. But if I'm completely off with this one as well, no worries, I've got a third theory too. Let's say the Surfer does arrive, and that's what causes this fire. What if that's the moment Reed realizes Earth can't be protected anymore and starts building something even bigger, a multiversal bridge, something that could help them escape this reality altogether, not just to protect Earth, but to save everyone on it. I mean, if the smartest person in this universe says this, then this planet is surely doomed.
Are we safe?
I don't know.
Also, a multiversal bridge could introduce us to the Council of Reeds, where we see past actors reprising their roles, and we get a No Way Home all over again. Now let me reveal some of the hidden details and Easter eggs I've noticed in this scene. First up, we've got a store sign that says Westview Appliances and Televisions, referencing Westview, the fictional town from WandaVision, also directed by Matt Shakman. I love how he didn't just slap Westview on any random store, like it could have been a Westview vibrator store for all we know. He made it a television shop. You know, Telly plus Vision, Wanda's Vision. Now right next to that, there's a cinema marquee showing a film called Attack of the Fungi, a nod to Pedro Pascal's role in The Last of Us. Then there's a sign for Horn and Herdert. It was a real restaurant chain in the US that ran from the late 1800s to the early 90s. And then there's this movie poster, Sub-Zero Intel. Now this could be a stretch, and I told you I'd be stretching, but this might be a sneaky reference to Captain America. You know, the whole frozen in ice for decades situation, Sub-Zero Intel Cap, you get it. Anyway, there's this massive billboard for New Star Jets, an alternate version of New York Jets. Last but not least, the RKO Palace, which was a real-life theater shut down in 1953. They were the production company behind Citizen Kane, and on the walls of that building, we can see a big graffiti that says Citizen. Now that's some film history baked right into the background. Now notice when Silver Surfer was about to take off, she literally phases through a police chopper like it's nothing. Seeing this, Johnny immediately goes after her, probably thinking he can keep up, but then hits that wall of reality, realizing he's way out of his league. Now if I compare this shot with the teaser, notice the massive difference in the background. When they released the teaser, the CGI was of course not fully complete, but it seems like they've completely changed the timing of this scene. In the teaser, it looked like daytime on this part of the Earth, but now it's nighttime. But what I love about this film is that even during the night scenes, we can still see all the action. Nothing gets lost in the dark. And what I find interesting is that even though he's completely engulfed in flames, and yet his clothes don't burn up, not even a singe. This implies that this iteration of Reed is even more brilliant and intelligent than we've seen him previously. Why do I say this? Because other iterations of Reed were only able to create suits using unstable molecules that would adapt with their powers. But Pedro Pascal's Reed might have figured out how to integrate that same same tech into regular clothes. Everyday wear that still adapts to extreme conditions, like flames, elasticity, invisibility, and maybe even cosmic radiation. And I love the line Reed says here.
It's my fault. I stretched the bounds of space.
I stretched the bounds of space. So did Reed mess with the multiverse already? Did he push too far and trigger something dangerous like an incursion? Or, and stay with me on this, maybe the real reason isn't what he did, but what he refused to do. Like, what if not handing over Franklin to Galactus sets off a chain reaction? Either way, this one line might be the key to understanding what sets this whole story in motion. We then see a press conference at the Baxter building, and the whole team's here, suited up in their space gear except for Sue, who's wearing a Future Foundation jacket. Notice how all the security, the building staff are dressed in blue, the primary color of the Fantastic Four. Now I think this is the team going for another mission in space, trying to find an answer for the Galactus situation. And because Sue is pregnant, they probably can legally allow her to join the mission. But let's be real, this is Sue Storm. I wouldn't be surprised if she jumps in at the very last second, and perhaps that's the shot we saw in the teaser already, which would also explain why she's not in full space gear, because she wasn't supposed to be on the ship in the first place. And imagine if she goes into labor in space, like Franklin Richards being born off planet. He's not just another Earthling, he belongs to the stars. A kid with no borders, no limits, above everyone else. We then see Reed crossing out the equations he wrote on the blackboard, as if to say none of this math adds up anymore, no solutions left. Cut to this gorgeous shot, Earth getting obliterated while the Fantastic Four ship approaches the planet. Now, as I told you, this movie could end with a huge cliffhanger where Galactus wins and completely destroys this planet. So this scene could be from that. But part of me thinks Marvel wouldn't just reveal that in a trailer. So could it be a dream sequence? Maybe Sue or Reed has a nightmare and wakes up drenched in panic. But if it is real, then I think they're still hiding something. We might actually see Galactus devouring Earth in this scene that Marvel has just removed from the trailer. Let me know your thoughts about this scene in the comments. We cut to Reed and Sue's bedroom, where Sue is staring at this empty baby crib, and she says this in the voiceover.
I'm not giving up.
As soon as she says it, Reed glances up at this little mobile solar system hanging over the crib, implying Reed is contemplating the idea of moving everyone to another planet. A plan B if it all goes south. Then we see Galactus standing over Manhattan, looming over the city like a cosmic force of nature. And if you look closely, you'll see the Baxter building in the background along with the launching pad. Now I should tell you that Galactus can change his size according to his needs. So the real question isn't how big he is, it's why he's this size. If he was just here to consume the planet, he wouldn't bother shrinking down and taking a walk through New York. That's not just how he rolls, so there has to be a reason. And that reason could be Franklin Richards. In Fantastic Four number 520, Galactus personally comes to Earth not to destroy it, but to turn Franklin Richards into one of his heralds. That's right, he doesn't want to fight him, he wants to recruit him. Why? Because Franklin Richards is insanely powerful, and Galactus knows he can't leave a wildcard like that running free. And I think that's exactly what's happening in this movie. Galactus isn't just a force of destruction this time. He's here on personal business, and that business is Franklin. We cut to Times Square again. This time, they're all suited up in their comic-accurate costume and looking up possibly towards Galactus. And here we see a store sign that says Timely Comics. Timely Comics was the original name of Marvel Comics. They started out as Timely Comics in 1939, then changed their name to Atlas Comics in 1951, and then became Marvel Comics in the early 1960s. Now notice there's no one in the streets of New York, whereas in the teaser, we saw plenty of pedestrians in the background, implying this is a different attack. And Reed may have sent everyone to a safe place. Maybe that underground bunker we saw earlier in the trailer. And this shaky rumbling we see in the bunker, well, this could very well be Galactus just walking above them. And just to give you a better perspective as to where exactly the team is standing in Times Square, it's right here, as we can see the screen behind them. But even that screen is now turned off. Like the whole city has gone dark. New York has become a ghost town. Then we get this shot of Sue Storm looking absolutely devastated. And based on the background, it looks like she might be inside a spaceship. Could she be watching Earth get destroyed from orbit? Watching her home burn while she's completely powerless to stop it? Or it could be her decision that led to this. Well, the possibilities are endless at this point. We then get a few quick shots where we see all four of them in action, starting with the Thing, who's yanking on this massive anchor chain, trying to pull this giant ship toward the harbor. There's smoke coming out of it, so he was likely under attack. So maybe he's leading a rescue op while the city burns. Then we see him smashing the pillars of a building. But I'm not really sure why he'd do that. Let me know if you have any theories about about this. And then we finally see Reed Richards using his powers and stretching his body in slow motion. My god, it looks so beautiful.
I'm gonna come. Oh.
He even has a Fantastic Four logo on the bottom of his boots, and we can see Galactus' legs in the background, stomping through the city, just crushing this building. Now notice Reed is holding a spear-like thing similar to the first Avengers movie with Loki using the scepter to open a portal. Or it might be a universal nullifier, something that temporarily nerfs Galactus, kind of like an emergency shutdown. And someone like Reed wouldn't certainly approach a giant like Galactus without a proper plan in mind. Then we move to Sue Storm, fully using her powers. I love the VFX choice here. Instead of a generic blue energy blast, they went with a full light spectrum, giving her powers a distinct and unique look. We then get this epic shot of Galactus walking through the streets of New York. God, that is massive.
That's what she said.
I think Marvel might be using a mix of practical effects and CGI here, like old school miniatures for the city layout, then scaling everything up digitally to give that massive tactile feel. So there's a real physicality to it, not everything is CGI here. Just look at the road. Galactus takes one simple step and it creates this massive crater. And that's him walking. He's not stomping, he's not attacking, he's not even trying to cause damage, just walking. Imagine what New York's gonna look like by the end of this movie. Well, I don't think there'll be anything left. Now, it has to be said, the CGI in this film looks incredible. Like, actually beautiful. The scale, the lighting, the design, top tier. And then the trailer ends with Reed Richards saying this.
We will protect you.
No, you won't.
Nothing's going to change.
Everything is going to change. Lads, I'm so hyped for this movie, I can't even explain it in words. I'll admit, I was a bit skeptical of the cast at first, but now I'm fully on board. The chemistry between them feels real. They're pulling off that family dynamic the Fantastic Four needs. I think the Fantastic Four, especially Reed, is gonna play a massive role in Doomsday and Secret Wars, and this movie will tell us why. Here's my final theory. If we do see their planet get destroyed by Galactus, I think the post-credit scene is going to reveal that Victor Von Doom also made it out alive, and now he holds Reed responsible for failing to protect the planet. So he will come up with a solution of his own. A brand new day in a brand new world. His world. A world with a suit of armor around it. A world he shall call Battle World. Now please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, grab the subscribe button and turn notifications on. Follow me on X and Instagram to get updates about my videos. Till then, I'm Mark Normand and I'll see you lads in the next one.